we work together to ensure that all the spaces are readied according to conservation standards, right? And then the objects are brought in, the condition reporting is done, the entire process, as I talked about earlier, is adhered to. This exhibition, if you see, these objects pertain, they are not very old. They are from the 1960s and 70s and some 80s. But the materials of these are when this technology was really coming into play and getting accepted as part of quotidian, uh, understanding and use, everyday use objects, so to speak.
Welcome to NMACC Culture Conversations. Our guest of the day, Anupam Sah. He is conservator at the glorious Art House at the NMACC. He's also head of art conservation, research and training at the much lauded iconic CSMVS in Mumbai. Hi, wonderful to talk to you. How are you?
Hi, very, very good morning, Rishi. Very good morning to you and to your listeners today.
Well,
Yes, you said it. Yes, you said it. It's a glorious center. Yeah, a much needed space for Bombay to complement the so many other spaces that have come up there.
now, your work as an art conservator fascinates me. But for people who are living under a rock, for the uninitiated, would you tell us what you do? Let's say, for example, an exhibition is about to get underway at the art house. Would you conduct condition checks for the artworks? Do you get into the act before, during, or after the exhibition? If you could take us through the processes, it'd be wonderful.
When an exhibition is conceived, or like an event in your house, could be a wedding, you see, the preparations begin much before with conversations between the two patrons or the three patrons who want to get together for the exhibition. And that's the time when they sign an agreement. And that agreement has one of the clauses that says that the institution which is borrowing the objects from the institution which is the lender, this host institution, in this case the NMACC, is committed to providing exemplary collection care for the objects to ensure that the objects go back to their lender in the same condition in which they were received. And to achieve this, there is a complete ecosystem in the institution that completely works together in a collaborative fashion to ensure every effort is aimed at ensuring that any future risks of deterioration are removed right at the beginning. So, once the exhibition has been conceived, as you very rightly said, the condition reports of all the objects that will come into the exhibition display are prepared by the various institutions that are lending. At the same time, a report of the facilities of the institution called the facility report, which is an internationally consistent document, is prepared so that the lenders know कि कैसी जगह हमारा object जा रहे हैं. Will they be able to look after them? Once that faith is built, that things will be looked after, then the designers and the architects come together to create the format of the display. And in that, the conservators bring in their inputs, because for exhibitions of art objects, the standards of museum quality materials have to be tended to and adhered to, which is the quality of the paint used, the types of woods used, the types of materials that come into play, so that there is no harm to the object by way of volatile organic compounds coming out from the adhesives which are used for the construction. So there is a lot of intervention in the way things are implemented with utmost care. Then the lighting comes in, disaster management comes in. You'll be surprised, Rishi, the amount of the ancillary players that have a role in making an exhibition a success. And NMACC, if you see right from the iconic India in Fashion exhibition that took place, which launched, so to speak, the facility, the bar was set very high. The facility report of the NMACC obviously is something that is a a gift to people who want to send their exhibitions to this institution. And then, of course, objects are looked after, and during the exhibition itself, they are inspected every day. And once the exhibition finishes, the same care is taken, and the whole team comes together, inspects the objects. They go back to the host institution where they again inspect the objects. And once everything is okay, the objects receive a stamp that says no change in the condition. The responsibility of both the institutions is completed, and people have enjoyed those beautiful works and made and enriched themselves with it. So thank you to all the lenders and all the hosts who make up this world of exhibitions in India and around the world.
That's very lucidly described for all of us ignoramuses. But I understand that temperature and humidity settings are very crucial in your line of work, Anupam. If you could spend a little time on humidity and temperature and how that has to be just right.
In fact, I'm in Africa just now, where we are conducting for the Yale University a number of training programs for collection care. And a very pointed question, and this would be of benefit to all the viewers, regardless of whether you're into the arts or not. Fact is that in a place like India, or a place like Bombay, let's say, a place like Mumbai, to be particularly focused on, the fact is that the humidity is very high. Now, if in our bedrooms and in our drawing rooms and in our art spaces and in our storages, we keep our air conditioners to 16, 18 degrees, then the moment you switch them off, the relative humidity rises so much that everything becomes clammy and damp, and got almost like you've taken a bottle out of a fridge and put it on the table and water has collected around it. This is what happens to all your family belongings and all your art. Everything gets wet and damp, and then fungus grows, and people may even lose their collections because of this. But हम में आदत है ना, जैसे when we travel in trains, we make sure कि AC पूरा ठंडा नहीं हुआ, नहीं तो मजा कैसे आएगा, मतलब पैसा वसूल कैसे होगा. So people tend to put the ACs right at 16 degrees, 18 degrees. Keep it at 24 and you'll be happy with your collections and your belongings at home. For everything. It's a rule for everything. It's about understanding the systems and dynamics of technologies also, other than just getting them. You know?
Very well said. Now, currently, this really immersive exhibition called Light into Space, organized by Diya Art Foundation, is exhibiting at the Art House. I wonder if there was your involvement in that. If so, if you could talk about some pointers on how you facilitated as a conservator this particular exhibition from our end, from the NMACC end.
Yes. So, the NMACC has a team called the Art House team. Now, they are the people who are coordinating all the various agencies together. So they tie up with us, right? It's a fantastic team. The exhibition is called Light into Spaces, but they work day and night to ensure this exhibition is a success. Well, so what happens is we work together to ensure that all the spaces are readied according to conservation standards, right? And then the objects are brought in, the condition reporting is done, the entire process, as I talked about earlier, is adhered to. So the entire process that I told you was taken care of even at this exhibition. Now, this exhibition is interesting in the sense, so we've had this exhibition, we've had the pop art exhibition, we've had a series of exhibitions here. Bhakti was recently. So this exhibition space has seen a variety of materials and technologies that have been displayed here. This one is particularly different, even from the pop art exhibition, which was another, I think it was a very, very beautiful exhibition, which Isha Ambani has been spearheading to be, to bring into the conversation as such. All these international artists, not easy to get them otherwise into the country. This exhibition, if you see, these objects pertain, they are not very old. They are from the 1960s and 70s and some 80s. But the materials of these are when this technology was really coming into play and getting accepted as part of quotidian understanding and everyday use objects, so to speak. And the artists have very imaginatively created objects out of it. So Mary Kos, for example, has these micro glass spheres which are mixed with acrylic and displayed on these huge canvases, right? You have Robert Irwin's discs. You have synthetic polymers by Chamberlain, right? We have mirrors, absolutely perfect, error-free mirrors by Nancy Holt, Then, of course, the curators have played this great role in the way they reflect the light of that disc. It's these are inspired little actions that the artists have done, and we get to see them. And then you have a simple thing like tube lights. हमारे सबके घर में tube lights होती थी. वो तब 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 करके, जलती थी. So the way they've not just put a tube light. One has to understand the work that has gone into creating these objects. Just like we appreciate textiles and the karigari that goes into it and kya zardozi ka kaam kara hai, we must see even these fluorescent tube lights, the artists have actually coated them from the inside with particular minerals so that they fluoresce in a certain manner, right? So the challenge that these exhibits have brought to this exhibition, which you particularly asked for, this Light into Spaces at the NMACC, these bring in a completely different approach to the care of the objects. It's not the conventional paint and the canvas fabric and the ground layers. These are all modern materials and they require a certain care. There's even steel in this exhibition, steel in this exhibition by Walter della Maria. And the care that was taken in this case was then addressed with experts in these fields. We must remember that art conservation is a very collaborative exercise, and people of various disciplines come together to take care of something and have the interest of the object uppermost in their minds.
I want to ask you, there have been 6 landmark exhibits at the Art House thus far. We've briefly mentioned about 2 or 3 of them. Anything else you'd like to mention which is really memorable out of the 6 that have happened thus far, which really caught your attention and you went, whoa, as a conservator, this is going to be fun to work on?
What is interesting is if you see the choice with the way the program team has been able to select these exhibitions, all of them have had different materials. You remember the one that was held with these beautiful displays, literally one hall, one display, the bamboos that were created in this fantastic installation of bamboo and sound. Like what a material, an organic material, completely different addressing of its collection care, and not only the visual delight, the exhibitions that have been selected, Hrishi, I cannot point out one, but they've all been different in the way that the materials have all been different. It's almost been curated, so to speak, that the exhibitions come of different types of materials. In a way, it is also a testing of spaces over the last 2-3 years. A testing of the capacity of the institution to be able to bring in the best from the world, right? But yeah, the Indian fashion and pop art, and I really can't point out one. They've been, by the way, as a conservator, now that we're talking about conservation, we treat every object and every collection with the care it deserves. We do not pass any judgment either on the objects or that. And like a doctor doesn't say, isko treat zyada acha karta hu, ye banda mujhe zyada acha lagta hai. We are completely detached from our work. And I think every conservator will second that. And we keep our perceptions at the back and just make sure that the objects are looked after. So very difficult to be able to give inputs on that, but they've been delightful. All of them have been delightful because they all had their reasons in terms of their variety. Lovely. And their curation, and their display.
I think a nice way to close down this discussion would be about talking about the space itself. I mean, we're talking 12,000 square feet. It's versatile. I imagine built as per global museum specifications. and how the modular facade itself is made for easy installation. So somebody like yourself, who's so well traveled, you've been around the world as an art conservator. What do you think of the art house, the space itself?
The art house space has been it has been well conceived as an art space. And that is where I think its strength lies. Just like its performing arts spaces have been created for that purpose. Usually, what happens is people build buildings and then retrofit a museum into it or retrofit an exhibition space into it. And it happens all across and all sectors, especially in this art sector. पहले building बन जाती है, उसके बाद we will use it for something. This had the advantage that it was created for that, right? So it is not just the spaces, the wall spaces that are available. It is everything from the access to the place, from the loading bays where the objects will come from. And not only that, if you see the system that goes around Art House, their fire controls, their security controls, their medical facilities in case of emergencies, and this is like a fabula. This is like an ideal, an utopia, where everything that you desire should be there in a facility report is taken care of. Yeah. So it is fortuitous that this has come together in this manner because of the vision of Mrs. Ambani and Mr. Ambani. And now the daughter is going to take on the mantle. And from the way it's moving, it augurs well for the art scene of the Indian subcontinent. And because the world is a brotherhood these days, so I think for all over the world, time to bring all the world's cultures also to Mumbai to have a look at them and enrich ourselves with them.
That's really wonderful. Anupam Sah is conservator of the glorious art house at the NMACC. He's also head of art conservation research and training at the CSMVS. And if you want to know a little more about him, a prodigious educator. He also teaches conservation at the University of Mumbai. So it was wonderful to meet you because along with Abha Narayan Lamba and Vikas Dilavari, you are one of the last of the Mohicans, if I could call it that. I hope there are young students out there who take inspiration from the likes of you and take up art conservation.
Yeah. Can I say something just to sign off? Yes, I for many years, I worked at the CSMVS to establish the Art Conservation Center there with the help of the various officers and people who are there. And I must tell you that the mantle has been passed on there, and they have a fantastic team of art conservators, young art conservators, who are taking care of that conservation center. And I wish them also the very best. And I would also suggest that people who want to look at standards for museums should also visit NMACC, and let it be a cumulative effort of all of us Indians together to take art display to its required international levels. And it is much needed, and India can do it.
Of course we can. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
We're on.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Hrishi. That was a great conversation. Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
94.3 Radio 1.